Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Morning.
What's
Morning.
up, everybody?
How's it going?
It is the Cedar Point podcast as we get so close to the reopening of Cedar Point. How many days? Anyone know? By the way, this is
13.
Sunday. This is Sunday, April 23rd, 2023. How many days?
13 days.
That's it?
13.
13. Oh, yeah, baby.
Oh, wow.
2 weeks from yesterday.
So,
Okay, who's going?
opening weekend.
I'll be there.
I gotta say, I just booked Breakers Express for that weekend, Friday and Saturday night.
All right.
How much was it?
They had a deal going on. It was like $89 Friday night and like $129 Saturday. So
That's a great deal.
Nice.
Yeah,
That is a
not at all.
great deal.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations. I have a question. I think this only applies to Nicole. Because she has an adultish daughter, a 16-year-old. And Donnie, I know you have an adultish kid, but she doesn't live around Cedar Point. So
Yeah.
So Cedar Point for 8 of us. It's the 5 kids, us 2, my mom. My mom's always paid for the passes in the past. So we're getting our own this year, and it's almost $4,000 because we want, the passes and the food and the drinks so that we don't have to pack. So if we want to go last minute, you just roll down there. You don't have to pack anything because you can get it all there. And so that it's for convenience wise, it's the best package for us. So that's a lot of scratch though.
You don't do the payment plan?
Yeah, well, even on the payment plan's like $600 a month. So it's a lot of money. So we had to have the conversation with the girls. Are you really gonna go? This is where I want to ask, like Nicole, with the adult girls. Is it really going to be beneficial to you? Because one's driving, the other one's about to start driving. They're kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah.
They're hanging out at a friend's house on the weekend. So it's before we spend this money, and we had to ask them, are you guys really gonna go? And you have to go probably go once a month. To make it worth it, maybe once every month and a half or whatever. But to make it worth it, you got to go that often. So if you're not going to go that often, then maybe we just not do it this year. And I was happy to say that all the girls said absolutely, and they were actually excited and enthusiastic to be a part of Cedar Point's season pass program for one more year. So I was very happy about that.
I'm sure your wallet's thrilled too, right?
With life being so crazy, Dave, honestly, if we can find some family stuff that everyone agrees on and that everyone wants to go and doesn't want to make excuses and complain and bitch and whatever, then I think it's almost worth it.
Did you already buy the passes?
No, not yet.
Let me let you know a little hack I found out the other day. How to save a couple $100.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah. Well, a buddy of mine just bought new passes, I should say, but he went through Canada's Wonderland, bought them there. Now they have the exchange rate or whatever. I'm not sure how that works, but he saved himself. He said when he got his credit card statement, it was like a couple $100 cheaper than if he were to renew it through like any other Cedar Fair park.
Well, then let me ask you this: are there any? Do you lose out on anything if if Cedar Point is your home park?
Nope. He went to Kings Island. We both went to Kings Island last weekend for their opening weekend. He used it. He's got the dining and the drink. There was no issues at all.
Huh.
Wow.
Yep.
Now, how come no? Why have you never done that, David? Did he just tell you about it?
I told myself last fall I was going to do it this year, and it totally slipped my mind, and I just hit that renew button, and
because
have I
go ahead, Donnie.
Have I told you guys about my plan, like that I have not been able to do, but to save money? It actually would cut your season pass costs in half.
What?
But you would have to sacrifice May,
A
June,
child?
May, June, July. Every visit, one person has to stay home.
No, you have to sacrifice one person, and they become an employee of Cedar Point.
Yes. Well, so every summer they come out with next year's passes at the beginning of August. So I came up with this plan, which I've never done it, by the way, because to basically you buy your pass every other year, but you have to sacrifice every other May, June, July. So like, for example, right now, my passes go through the end of this year. So then I don't buy them for 24. But in August of 24, the 25 passes will come out. So I'll buy the 25 passes in August. So I'll have the second half of 24 and all of 25. And then I do it again. I don't buy them in 25. I sacrifice June, July, or May, June, July, and 26, and I buy 27s in August. Basically, you're buying them every other year.
It is genius, because I know we've complained about those. I've complained about those people before, where you just throw in the rest of this season, and then if you buy your pass for next season. But yeah, if you're not planning on going those early, that's a great idea.
That's what we do. Not with me and my kids, but that's my husband. We do that. We just, because I make them go with me for my birthday, so we just get those 2 years. And
sounds like something.
He's not a writer.
Not something he wants to do.
It is not something he wants to do, Dylan. But when you're married,
have you ever sacrificed May, June, July?
Make sacrifices.
Hold on. All right, do we need to sit Dylan down, the young one? All right, Dylan, sit down. Here we go. We're gonna do some marriage stuff with you, brother.
We'll have the talk with him sometime.
I'm gonna give you some marriage advice, Dylan. Don't do it. Run.
And if you do it, she's always right. Just remember that.
Same.
Yeah, my wife's the same too.
Did you hear the
you
hack?
You guys are marriage goals. Come on.
Is the hack where the husband doesn't talk?
No.
Oh,
the hack is you buy your passes through the Canadian Wonderland, and you save money because of the exchange rate instead of buying it through Cedar Point. You save $100.
Thank you.
Right? I want to hear about that. I want to hear how it goes, because I could legitimately, I mean, any of us could legitimately go to Canada's Wonderland. It's not far.
No, but there's no issues with it. I've known a couple people actually.
I'm scared. Like, what if Canada falls off the earth, or we get in some war or something? All of a sudden, the passes are no good.
Oh my God!
That's some stuff that would happen to me.
Relations are very unstable with Canada at this time.
See?
So it's a smart move, Andrew.
See? I knew it. I don't know. By the way, if I'm going to buy my passes in Canada, and my good friend Nick Alonso said he usually buys all his hamburger meat in Mexico because it's cheaper. And then
there you go.
Oh my
it's
God.
A good place to go get cosmetic surgery too, I hear.
That's what I hear. No, thank you. I need someone with a license in America. Anyway, let's move on. Broadway. Broadway. The boardwalk is looking good.
Absolutely, man. I've been watching the webcam here, and it is looking fabulous. Looks like all the rides are almost all together. A few of them have received nice makeover for this year.
Wildmouth.
And it kind of looks like Troika may have gotten repainted as well from the webcam. It's kind of hard to tell because of the lighting and that on that webcam, but it looks like it. And the mouse coaster is looking great. Last night, I don't know if any of you guys had the chance to look at the webcam, but they had all the lights on in the new pavilion building. Oh. I mean, it looked like it was on fire. It was so bright. They had lights out everywhere.
Hopefully it wasn't really on fire, though, because that would, that
Is
would really set us back.
Dragster still there?
See what happens if Canada catches on fire, and then I'm screwed on my passes. See? Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Anything. Yeah, I'm excited about that new boardwalk. I think that's is anyone going to go there first or not?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wife's going for Wild Mouse right away.
Yeah, Wild Mouse.
Yeah, this
I'm just going to walk in the pavilion and be like, okay, this is nothing new.
Yeah, Wild Mouse is going to have quite the line this year. I have a feeling. So,
in fact, I think it's on the early entry list.
And it has a 42-inch height requirement too. By the way, I noticed on the app, which is good for friends with smaller kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, it's just another ride. And I've always said, other than kind of, you got Wilderness Run and Woodstock Express. There really isn't any starter coasters. I mean, Mine Ride kind of, but everything else is pretty intense. Like Blue Streak is intense in its own way. Even Iron Dragon, Gemini is intense. So there's really not a lot of stuff to get the younger riders warmed up to the bigger coasters. So
there's no mid coasters really, But if you remember, years back, Iron Dragon used to have a 42-inch height requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, Iron
Iron
Dragon
Dragon
is
ain't
small
that
enough.
intense at all.
Everyone is making fun of me. I saved $200 by buying my Canada passes, but I spent $2,000 on passports for the family.
Well,
Well, you don't
cut
have
off
to ever go
$2,000
there.
on what?
Yeah, if you buy the
What?
pass there, you don't ever have to go there. You can just
Yeah, no, I
have
know.
their pass. You know?
They're messing with me. They all mess with me, Dave. That's what they do. By the way, gotta say hi to listener Doug. Gotta say hi to Paul. Paul says early entry is a joke this year.
It is.
Oh,
100%.
It is.
Well,
It's
really?
a full-on joke this year.
Why do you
know-
guys say that? Go ahead,
Because-
Nicole. You go first, then we'll have Mike go.
Well, if you look at the lineup, the early entry lineup, the only coasters that are on there are, it's just the boardwalk area essentially
Yeah.
is open, and
Mhm.
I think Gatekeeper. We just have gold passes this year, and I was going back and forth. I might get a platinum pass because we might go to a couple of other parks this year, but I was like, well, I'm not going to get it just based on Cedar Point because early entry there's no point at all just to ride Mouse Coaster. So that's the only
Yeah.
reason.
Well-
And I don't care about Mouse Coaster because I will barf probably because it's spinning. So I disagree also that it's an entry level coaster because that spinning it's a whole other dimension that
Yeah,
takes the intensity up, we'll say.
for sure.
But I will ride it. I will. And I'll probably love it. Anyways.
Michael, what do you want to say about early entry?
Yeah, it's from years past. It's a straight up joke. The only real major coaster on there is Gatekeeper. It's almost like they're pushing people towards Wild Mouse instead of having like Millennium or Raptor or any of the other, or even Steel Vengeance on that early entry list. They're pushing them more towards that new pavilion. And yeah, that's not going to sit well with a lot of coaster enthusiasts.
Well, here's the thing. I agree. It's not going to sit well with a lot of coaster enthusiasts, but from a logistical standpoint for the park, it makes total sense because now they don't have to staff half the park, so people can go back and ride Steel Vengeance and all that. But at the same time, it sucks for coaster lovers. I mean, that's what people go to Cedar Point for are the coasters, right?
Yeah.
So, they're really limiting that. But like I said, from a logistical standpoint, it's a bonus for the park.
Well,
Go ahead, Donnie.
I think those of us who go early often will end up benefiting because the fact that it's once you do the boardwalk, you don't have
need
as
to go
much of a reason to try to get there early anymore. So I'm expecting a bit of a later arrival for the remainder of the year for the general public. So instead of everyone rushing to get in early and get on as many coasters as you can, people are going to be arriving a little bit before opening, before regular opening time, so they can get onto their coasters. And so I'm just expecting a little bit of a later arriving crowd overall because of that.
Totally agree. Since it's platinum pass, pass member early entry, how many times you're going to want to go in there early and ride the Matterhorn?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
So,
I mean,
Matterhorn?
these are rides those rides probably don't have a big line during regular opening. Why would you want to get there early to ride them?
Yeah.
And it sucks because that was a good, like, if you have, again, kids that are getting older, 10, 11, 12, 16, 18, whatever, as the kids get older, it's hard enough to get them up early anyway. Now, knowing you can't knock out some coasters before everybody else, that's just another struggle for you to have to push if you want to go early, to push them and get them up and get moving.
Yeah. In our house, it's usually me and one other, my 11-year-old. She's the only one that rides the big stuff. So it's the two of us, and then we go back. So now it's looking like we'll probably just wait and get everyone together.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, let's talk. Let's talk this Johnny Rockets turning into an arcade. Are there going to be enough food places in place for the upcoming season? Because, man, there's an arcade just right on the giant arcade is right next to the Kiddie Land right there. I mean, I don't
Andrew,
get it.
If you remember, before Johnny Rockets, that used to be the Fascination game. And where you roll the ball. You gotta get so fingers crossed, it's not just regular arcade games you can play anywhere, but it's something like that, Like
what is the fascination game?
I thought Fascination, Dave, was where was right below the ballroom where we go for Halloween weekends.
No, this is where Johnny Rockets used to be. That
Yeah.
whole corner used to be Fascination. You get these little balls and you have to roll them.
Yeah, I remember Fascination, but I thought it was like right there where the main arcade is.
No, used to be where Johnny Rockets was. It was yeah, they had their own prize counter in there, and
yeah, they did, and it was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be cool if we were able.
If they brought that back, that'd be even better.
Yeah.
Well, and like Paul Schott just said, too many food places have been closed for the season. That's what I'm saying. I mean, we're seeing a lot of takeaways, and I didn't see a whole lot of ads. Boardwalk's going to have a new place, but it didn't seem like there were a whole lot of ads to the and all that's going to do is make longer lines for the other places.
Well, here's the thing. It's not just a Cedar Point problem. This is an industry-wide problem right now. Pretty much every park out there is suffering from staffing issues, shipping issues, construction setbacks, all that stuff. That's a real problem right now. I mean, look at Kings Island. Their whole new area that was supposed to open with the park this year isn't opening until, who knows when, whenever they get the rides in. But yeah, that seems to be a real problem. So, I mean, I get it. I mean, I know why all these places are closed.
There's two industries that are hurting, and that's the service industry, which would be restaurant service and all that. And I think another one is the trade industry, which both of those are going to affect any type of expansion anywhere. Because I've noticed it. I mean, you try to get some plumbing done or something, you're weeks out because there aren't enough people and there's too much work to do, and they're doing that. Now, I wonder if moving forward, if there needs to be more thoughts on designing your spaces for food for less people. Like, for instance, like food, let's say food trucking, for instance. I know this guy, his food truck is a small box. I don't know, it could be 6 to 8 feet, square. And he's run that thing by himself, and he's got a line. The counter's there, the grill is there, the whole cold line is here, and and he's pumping all these people out with just him because he can't count on people. So he bought something that he knew could just run with one person. Like, I need to have 2 or 3 on mine, and so if someone calls in, you're kind of screwed. So I wonder if there's a way to design some of these new places that were closed when they design them for maybe less people. Does that make sense? I don't know.
In a way, yes. In a way, no. But you've got to have the people in place to do the job. Even where I work today, we're short-staffed, and I'm in the service industry still.
Yeah.
I mean, I may sling meat for a living. I may sell meat for a living. But the thing is, clearly, our boss put it out. It's like, we're short-staffed. If you could please be patient with us, and we'll get to you as soon as we can.
Yeah.
There are some hard days where I work that it's just like overwhelming.
Sure. No,
it's amusing reading some of the people commenting online are just outraged and furious at these parks. Well, nothing's open. This is opening late, or this is delayed. It's like, well, their hands are tied. They really don't have a choice.
Yeah.
But are they tied, Dave? Because we know that they hit that $20 threshold during COVID, and they're back down to 14 to 17, I think, depending on your experience or something like that. I mean.
Well, sure, because you can go out and get a job at the factory down the street from your house for $18 an hour. Why would you go to work at Cedar Point for $15?
Well, because that's why I'm saying if you can get to the 20 mark where they were during COVID, so they've been there. If they go back to where they need to be, and would you rather work at a factory or Cedar Point?
Well, here's the caveat to that.
Depends on the position.
Seasonal job.
I was going to say Cedar Point if it was open all year, but
if it was open all year, but you got a regular job that you have benefits and this and that.
Yeah.
You're going to take that over a seasonal job.
Well, and I think, and I don't know if we're getting too off topic. If you guys want to move it on, let me know. But that's the problem with the service industry. People are like, restaurants are closing or restaurants can't get workers. Well, they can, but the restaurant industry business model was based on $10 cooks and $3 servers, and now you have to pay $20 cooks and $6 servers plus tips, and the model wasn't built on that. So you're going to get restaurants closing that aren't going to be able to handle that, and maybe it's just going to weed out some of your faves. But bottom line is, the whole industry is changing to where you need to pay more money. So maybe,
well, yeah, and if you
maybe Cedar Point needs to do a benefits package and do some things that to attract people. We can't you can't be in the service industry and do them the same way you've always done them, because you're going to get left behind or buried. Go ahead, Donnie.
Right, and if you notice, we've talked about this before. Like, if we lose Chicky and Pete's, then we're down to one sit-down restaurant where you have a server coming to you. Otherwise, you're walking through a queue, you're walking through a cafe, like fast casual Chipotle style, where you're looking at the food and you're saying, "I'll take this, this, and this," and they're completely. I mean, that eliminates the need for. I mean, that's 100 servers, because in all the restaurants in the park that only have that have the queue and the walkthrough. So,
and it's funny. It's funny. We talked about this last season. Is that I think maybe Dave or somebody brought up that all of their restaurants are going to these queues, and we're like, that's interesting. Do we like that? Do we not like that? But maybe they were foreseeing, hey, we can't keep people, so this is one way that we can cut 100 people from having to hire.
You have those queues, cafeteria style. You have a couple people behind the counter. You have your kitchen people. And you have your cashiers. That's it. You don't need servers or this and that.
Right.
Bus people.
Right.
I'm going to say something very pro Cedar Point right now. So in all the other service industries, we're seeing major inflation, right? We're seeing costs go up, going to Chick-fil-A is, $50 for 5 people at least, Cedar Point hasn't raised their prices. So there's one thing to say about that they haven't hit that inflation piece like everybody else. Yeah. So in fact, and I think that's on our topic today, if they lowered the gate price, which is great for people who go to the gate, but don't buy your tickets at the gate. Anybody who's listening, don't buy your tickets at the gate.
I don't know many people that do.
Without being arrested for robbery, how much more can you charge than $15 for long nuggets?
Right.
Exactly. Long nuggets.
I was talking about gate prices, not food prices so much. But
no, I just messed with you, Nicole. But yeah, going to the gate price, were people clamoring for $5 less? I mean, were people saying it was too expensive? It's like like you said, take that $5 and pay $20, and maybe and maybe come up with some creative ways to do things. I don't think that they needed to lower it $5.
Well, I kind of think they did, because the gate price was just outrageous. I mean, very few people bought tickets at the gate because it was so much cheaper to do it online ahead of time.
Yeah, you shouldn't ever do that.
I don't know one person that's bought tickets at the gate in a couple years.
I made the mistake, and I bought tickets at I bought one ticket at the gate at Kings Island like 4 years ago, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Like, because we were in such a hurry, and we had a pre-K pass back then, and it didn't work. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, "We'll go get a ticket. We'll go get a ticket," and I bought it, and I'm like, "Wait, I just wasted $40 because I didn't go on my phone and buy a ticket."
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. I gotta say hi real quick to Donnie Branshaw, my good buddy. He's listening watching this morning. I keep listening, but from DNC Branch Pressure Washing. So thank you, Donnie. We appreciate you watching.
Pressure washing.
Pressure
washing.
All right, let's talk about the big one. Top Thrill Dragster. A lot going on over there, Dave.
Yes. I don't know if any of you guys have been paying attention, but there's a big triangular shaped hole underneath Iron Dragon right now.
What?
From what I told is being filled with cement as we speak. A big footer is what it is. It's a pretty big footer. I'd say it's roughly minimum 30 feet by 30, maybe. It's triangular shaped.
It's huge. Well, some people are like 30 by 30 by 90 and something like that, like a big oblong triangle.
Yeah, it's a big triangle, and it's deep. It looks to be, roughly 15, 20 feet deep. I don't know, from what I can tell from the webcam. But that kind of reinforces the rumor about the back spike on Dragster. The new launch system.
What is that? What does that mean?
What it is you remember Wicked Twister, how it had the spike going up? Dragster is going to have a back spike similar to that. Similar to Wicked Twister. It's going to launch you. You're going to go
allegedly.
Allegedly. This is all rumors. This is what it's looking like. It's going to launch you. You're going to go halfway, 3/4 up the tower, roll back, go up this spike. It's going to launch you backwards up the spike. It's going to twist. then you're going to come down the spike, and it's going to launch you the rest of the way over.
So it's going to be another version of Wicked Twister then?
No.
Like similar aspects on a way larger scale. And we're just kind of we're guessing that it's going to twist. Some people are saying what if it twists and it goes straight up. Some people are saying what if they try to make it 500 feet high to try to break a record, but at that point it's not going to be a continuous. I mean, it'll still be a continuous coaster, but by Cedar Point standards, it's got to be on one loop if you're gonna claim the tallest actual roller.
Well, here's
coaster.
the thing with that, Donnie. I don't think it's going to be the tallest. I'm guesstimating a little over 300 feet, because if you go higher than the actual dragster tower, I mean,
well, you're going to have to launch. Yeah, the only explanation would be you have to launch it up that spike. It's not going to. Yeah. The momentum from the hill isn't going to get you up that high unless you have launches halfway
There's
up.
also an engineering problem with that. How are you going to manage the spike with Iron Dragon right there?
Well, it'll go underneath Iron Dragon,
okay,
and then up.
I mean, think about it. Iron Dragon's literally right there.
Oh, it'll go underneath Iron Dragon. Yeah.
Yeah, they've actually. I don't know if you remember. Dave announced that they announced they will have Iron Dragon up and running.
That's
what they did. Take about 50 feet of track down to get the cranes back there for this footer.
That's what they said.
I haven't seen any late pictures. If the Iron Dragon track is back up, I mean, I saw some drone footage from like a couple weeks ago that was just on the boardwalk, so you couldn't really see much. But it'd be interesting to see. We're 2 weeks out. I can't wait to get over there and try to peek over the fence.
Right,
fence watch again.
They
keep getting us with these fences.
Kinds of fence watches going on. Yeah.
Well, Iron Dragon too. If it is put together, you'll be able to see it from there as well.
So walking in, going down the midway, going to the right is going to look a lot different than it has in the past. With Scrambler gone and the other and Matterhorn, right?
Matterhorn's gone.
Yeah, Matterhorn.
They have to put something there, just some color, some plants, something, because it's going to look crazy.
And I was amazed nobody asked that question at the winter chill out event. What's going in that place? They were real limiting the questions. They only asked allowed people to ask a few questions, and that wasn't one of them. Really curious.
Speaking of specialty events, Coaster Mania, which sold out in 2 days, but very limited tickets, Dave.
Yes, it did. He did. Tony Clark did announce that this year's tickets were going to be very limited, and they were. They sold out in 2 days. So if you haven't got them, well, you're SOL. You're out of luck. It's a popular event, although it's gotten some criticism over the last few years of really being scaled back from what it used to be. It's still a fun event. They did change the ERT up a little bit this year. They have some nighttime ERT on Steel Vengeance and Maverick, which looks like a lot of fun. But I'm skipping it this year. I got other things to attend to on that day, but I am doing the coaster stock down at Kings Island.
Yeah, I think you like coaster stock better, Dave, because
it's a remarkable event. Yeah, it's awesome.
So even though we're 2 weeks out from Cedar Point opening day, Dave was at Kings Island, and I don't know how did we not talk about this new Kings Island area, because Dave just brought it up, and I just went on their website and somehow I missed this. It's called
I put a video out actually on my YouTube channel a few days back, covering that whole new area. They're adding a couple new rides. Cargo Loco, it's like a teacup style ride like at Disney, but it's barrels. They're themed to barrels and that. And then it's called Soul Spin. It's kind of, if you remember the old Witch's Wheel from Cedar Point, it's kind of
I remember Witch's Wheel.
Yeah, it goes around and then it goes up, kind of like that. Get you dizzy and nauseous for some people. But
there we go.
Unfortunately, guys, I just got called in to go to work at 11, so I need to run.
All right, brother.
All right, we'll see you, Michael.
I'll see you soon.
Bro.
Yeah.
A couple things on Top Thrill. Jason Caramel says you can get a good visual from the Power Tower cams of Top Thrill. And then our good friend Molly, who we miss, says updates on Top Thrill are coming in every day through Erie Sky Photography's page. So you go over there. I guess they're getting good videos of our audio.
Now, question about that though, is that I thought Cedar Point was like a no-fly zone or no drone zone. How are these people getting these shots?
Yeah, they were over the water. They were
You know?
over the water, and it's definitely a no drone zone. But if as long as you stay, like I think maybe 100, 200 feet from the peninsula, I think you're good because I've been finding stuff online.
Well,
Yeah.
and also you look depending on the drone. I mean, they're so good now. The cameras you can be out of the no fly zone and still get some pretty good imagery.
I guess so, but yeah, there's some pretty good pictures I've seen come out. I'm afraid to share them because I don't know if they're legal or not. If you're allowed to, do that, but yeah, they're nice. They're interesting.
So this is an interesting one, Dave. That I love that you brought this up in our chat. A lot of the Cedar Fair parks that have had fights and things like that are implementing that chaperone policy. Cedar Point has not gone to the chaperone policy that we've heard of yet. Should they? Has anyone? I haven't really seen it. Like on to Cedar Point and like, is a bad something's going on, something's about to go down, shady people, blah blah blah. I have not felt that way. Like my kids go run off and I have no issues. I don't worry about them. When we're in the park. And I don't know. Is it? You think Cedar Point? Have you ever had a point where you felt or saw something that you're like, wow, that's really bad?
I mean, I've never felt unsafe there, from a security standpoint. But I have seen, it's been years. I did see a fight out in the parking lot one time. Two drivers arguing, I guess about a parking spot or something. But yeah, I know. But I've never seen an incident inside the park that warranted being, concerned for my safety.
I mean, here in the Toledo area, we have tons of problems at the movie theater with fights and craziness and whatever. But I don't think we need to have a chaperone. I think I should be able to drop my 17 or 18-year-old off there, or they could drive there on their own to drive there.
Yeah, you don't need an armed guard. Or
do you need to be proactive so that element doesn't hit Cedar Point?
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on with teenagers these days. I really don't. Not all teens are bad, obviously, but there are groups of teens that are going around just looking for trouble, causing trouble. We were at Kings Island, like I mentioned, last weekend, and they had an incident there last weekend. We were on the other side.
Why even cause trouble at a theme park of all places? It's supposed to be like.
Right. Well, we were on the other side of the park, but we heard an announcement that they closed down the action zone portion of the park. We're like, oh, that's kind of weird, They had it on the PA. Then like a half hour later, we hear it's reopened. We're like, what happened? Well, later in the day, I found out that somebody tried sneaking a gun into the park. They put it in a bag and threw it over a fence in the action zone area, went through the metal detectors and tried retrieving the gun in that, and security had caught the guy.
What the heck?
So... kudos to their security for being on top of stuff like that. And
that's terrifying because if someone's going to,
unfortunately,
where was that, Dave?
Kings Island.
Through that trouble, they have plans. Kings
Island, because Paul Schott just posted that Kennywood had an issue yesterday on their opening day with 4 kids trying to break into the park. Karis Haynes says, I've never felt unsafe up there. I go every year. Toledo, I feel more unsafe. I'm a Gen X, and I'll just yell at a 10 after, or I don't know. Sure,
and another thing, I think that it has something to do with these parks that are located near large cities. I think that has something to do with it, because you have the groups of teens going in there, as to where Cedar Point's kind of almost in the middle of nowhere. I don't want to say nowhere, but it's further away from these large cities, and you get more families and tourists in there than you do locals per se.
Yeah,
and there's not as correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not like public transit that easily goes to Cedar Point.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Maybe I don't know that.
Not that I'm aware of.
I think that's a fair statement, Nicole. Now, since Nicole, since you're the psychologist and you have teens. What's wrong with teens today? I know you have the answer.
Oh man, we don't have time. You'd want to talk about understaffed. Let's talk about mental health support.
Kids today.
Social media, I'm telling you, it's social media. It's that we can see what kids are doing all around the world, and people just think things are cool. And
everyone
TikTok.
wants to have the next viral video, so they're acting all time because their cameras are always on, and they're acting at all times, hoping that they can have the next viral video. I think that's part of it. I think the music is part of it, and I know we sound old because even back in Elvis's day, they're like, Elvis is
off my
corrupting
lawn.
but it's not the same today, man. It's F you and I'm gonna beat you, ho, and whatever. I mean, it's just the music is ridiculous, and video. Look, we've had this conversation. Everyone tells me I'm crazy, but it's not one answer. It is. Parenting is more lax. I think the video games, wanting to be a superstar, music, it all comes together and makes some really bad teens. No mental health support.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too. No mental health.
I think it's the attention seeking. It's very hard to access care, and social media just has a spotlight on everything. So,
and I think part of it had to do with COVID. Everybody was stuck at home. They got addicted to social media. That was a big part of it.
Totally agree.
Lines are too long. Maybe that's it.
That's right. I was just going to say, and here we go. The five of us are going to solve all the crises in the amusement park land.
Yeah, of course. Well, okay, but back to the original question. And so we haven't had those problems at Cedar Point. Are you preemptive in your in a chaperone enforcing chaperones, or are we cool the way things are? No one feels unsafe. I think everyone agrees that Cedar Point's done a good job, for whatever factors being out further or whatever. But they've done a good job. So are we just keep going with what we're doing, or is this something that needs to be considered?
Well, it's interesting. I want to throw in there. I'm pretty sure that they've implemented a chaperone policy at every single one of their amusement parks except Cedar Point.
Really?
Yeah, it looked that way. I mean, I got to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure it's at every one of the parks but Cedar Point. Yeah. So I don't know.
I'm guessing Cedar Point can't be that far.
Exception.
I'm guessing Cedar Point can't be that far behind. And what is it, Dave? Is it 16, under 16 and under? What is it?
Yeah, I think it's, is it 15?
I'm on a news site from.
Say it again, Don.
Yeah, I'm on a news site from Cincinnati, and it says park goers 15 years old and younger need to be accompanied by a chaperone who's at least 21 years old in order to be admitted or remain in the park after 4 p.m. to closing. So the chaperone policy starts at 4 p.m. to close, and it's for 15 and younger.
Huh.
So what the interesting thing too about that is they are allowed up to 10 kids to chaperone up to 10 kids. So it's like
it's like a buyer. You got a 21-year-old buyer, and then it gets everybody in.
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of holes in the policy. Put it that way. It's just
that just means someone in the park, probably. I mean, I wonder if you have to be with them at all times in the park. You know what I mean?
Somebody said they checked the driver's license or something of that person, and they need a phone number, that all the kids have the phone number of that person, or I don't know. All the information's still kind of coming out.
I think I'm okay. 15 and under, I'm kind of okay with, but because at 16 you can drive, so I think I would be a little more leery of the policy if it was 16 and under, because my kid is 16, she's responsible and she wants to go to Cedar Point with a couple of her friends and drive down there. I don't think that should be an issue, and so I think that 16 is probably the demarcation line for where a chaperone would have to be, is at 15.
But when you think about like actual serious threats, it's the ones that are, I would say that age range of 15 to 21 is where there might actually be a threat. So I don't know. I like to think that we can be civilized and have fun, but
I'm glad
Hopefully
you said
Cedar Point doesn't. I don't know.
I'm glad you said that, Nicole, because I was thinking 15 and under. Those really, I don't think, are the problem causers. It's the 15 to 21s are the problem causers. But I mean, at 18, 19, 20, you can't have them chaperoned.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
At 18,
they're
you're
not all
adult,
going to stick together.
That's why I'm not sure. That's why I'm not sure how I feel about the chaperone policy,
right.
because, you might have some 12, 13-year-olds that are being silly and line jumping or some, like they might be goofing, but I'm not overly concerned about a 12-year-old really coming at me.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. That 15 to 21 is where it's at. Maybe they should all have to wear monkey backpacks and connect them.
One of those things like in elementary school, the rope.
Yeah,
they all have to hold on to the rope.
Oh, yeah.
Kid under 21 has to connect their monkey backpacks together.
Could you imagine? I don't know. It's just different now. It's just different.
I don't get it. I mean, a lot of parents too think the parks are like a babysitting service. They just drop their kids off there for the day and leave. There's no adult supervision. I kind of get it from but
I'm feeling attacked, Dave.
Yeah, you're feeling attacked.
because if we're staying at Breakers, I don't have a problem with my kids running over to Cedar Point. Where if I'm in the hot tub and I want to stay in the hot tub, then if they're going to run to the park and go get some food and go ride some rides, now I'm okay with that.
Well, see, that's the issue. That's the problem too. Is probably 95% of the kids going to the park are fine. They're great.
Yeah,
it's that 5%, unfortunately, that are causing major issues. Ruining it.
So it brings up the question: do we just deal with as a society, because of the 5%, we want to regulate the 100%? Do we just deal that's the way? That's
when it comes to sneaking guns into parks and starting big fights like that, you kind of, what other choice do you have? I mean, it's sad as it sounds.
Sad but true.
I think the default as a society, though, is we punish the 100% for the 5%. Maybe we just deal with the 5% and then realize that most of the time we're okay and just do it. But that's not the way people do things nowadays.
We are definitely getting way more political on this, because that's a really deep conversation.
The chaperone policy is the restaurant queue of security.
That's exactly.
So instead of beefing up the security for the parking lot and areas around the park, we're making you do it. So you have to bring someone with you you got to bring your chaperone as your own security.
Well, I think every chaperone should get a little
staffing thing again.
Every chaperone should get a little junior badge.
Bring your own bodyguard.
Yeah.
BYOB.
Molly says probably why Cedar Point ended the beach night program, because it ended up not being families. It was a lot more teenagers just hanging out by themselves, where the parents would just be like, "Hey, you guys go have fun," and it became a little more of that.
I don't know. I hope that comes back though, because we tried to go multiple times, but it never, like, once it was in we fit it in, and then like 2 years later, like last year, we went to the beach party and it was so awesome. We actually went back the next weekend to try to do it again, but we got rained out. But it was really, really cool. I hope it's something that they bring back in some form, if not this year.
I agree, Donnie. That was a blast. We were able to check it out last year, I think it was. Yeah, and it was just, we had a great time. They had all those light up tables and chairs out on the beach, and
they lit all the
playing, and it was just a good time. And that's what they're lacking there, is some after hours activity. After the park closes, they really need to implement something.
It's a great point. I'm with you guys. I love the beach nights at Cedar Point. The kids loved it. Everyone loved doing that. And I remember growing up, because I was a Disney kid. I grew up out in Southern California, and we would go every weekend to Disney, and it was because they had a dance party every for teens. There aren't a lot of dance places where you can go dance anymore. They don't have. There used to be like teen clubs. They don't have. Those are gone. Everything's gone. And really, if they had something like the beach nights, and then maybe something even inside for kids to go have a good time. Of course, that's probably when that's probably brings out the worst element as well. But something like you said, some more of that stuff would be kind of cool.
It would be.
Although Dave, they did do the wild frontier nights or whatever, and so I think Donnie said at the end they were giving tickets away because no one was going in and enjoying it. That was something that in the evening that they tried to do.
But weren't they charging like $100 or something for a ticket?
It was 21 and over too.
Crazy expensive.
Yeah, it was It was expensive, and it was 21 and over. So it's missing that.
Yeah, that should have been included.
That demographic.
Let's see. I got a bunch of messages here that I want to get to. Paul says my son will close the park and then come back to our room at Breakers. Yeah, so if that's what we do. Like if our kids, if it's 5, 6, 7 o'clock and I've got the little one and we're going to go back and go swimming, some of the kids want to stay at the park. Go ahead, stay at the park. I think that's pretty normal. For most people, I think. Shar said she really liked the beach party. Paul says my kids like the beach party. Molly said all the parents were drinking and the kids were just partying.
Sounds that's accurate. Yeah.
Donnie, you feel attacked?
Oh, he just called you right out, Donnie P.
What? I meant you broke up for a second. What was it?
I said Molly said that all the parents were drinking and the kids were just partying. I said, do you feel attacked?
Not at all. Not at all.
Shar said, very true, Andrew. We need some teen clubs. Paul said I went with free tickets to the Frontier thing. Molly said that was 21 and older. No one knew what was going on with Frontier nights, and they brought it back this year. Whatever, Molly. I refuse to read any more of Molly's comments. You know how to come on the show. Read your own. Say your own goddamn comments. I'm tired of reading comments. You know where to go. Nice try. I'm not doing it anymore. I refuse. All right, Dave, ride of the week.
Ride of the week, we're going to do the Midway Carousel. It opened back in, oh gosh, I had it up here. My bad.
Donnie P. Okay, well, he looks for it. Donnie P., you remember me and you going to Cedar Point for Halloween weekends?
Yeah.
And you remember jumping on that carousel dressed up as monsters and scaring the crap out of people?
Yes. It was
That's
after
why we
a
need
shift
chaperones.
at Club Blood.
Yeah.
It was
Thanks
after
to
what?
Donnie, we need a chaperone now. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were Screamsters and we were vampires in Club Blood, and then they cut us loose after like an hour or two. They probably thought we sucked, but so we were still in full up. So we were just getting on rides and just standing behind people and just being all creepy. It was awesome.
The Midway Carousel, are we talking like the
The
am I
merry-go-round.
losing it? Or?
Right when you walk into the front gate, it's right there in front of you.
Let's all congratulate Andrew and Donnie on scaring 5-year-olds. You guys are really crushing it. Congratulations.
Hey, have you ever seen Monsters Inc? That stuff is priceless.
Dude, they let us go on our own, and we're like, we're not done yet, though.
Right. Yeah, we sat in makeup.
My daughter wants to do that this year. She wants to go work at the Halloween weekends. And I got to give her a shout out too, by the way, guys. Not opening weekend, but the following weekend on the 13th, Saturday. Her school choir is going to be performing at Cedar Point. So if you guys are in the park, make sure you guys give her some support. And
could we somehow do a Cedar Point podcast, Cedar Point trip?
No.
Out of the question.
Dylan, you got to get us some dates, bud. We all went.
Yeah, we tried
I
it.
need to get you there.
We tried it, but it was a disaster. It was echoing everywhere. We tried. Maybe we try again this year. I don't know. It was just so.
It was echoing everywhere.
I have nightmares from that attempt.
It was not great.
Microphones are picking each other up. We need headphones next time.
Yeah, there you go, Don.
Yeah, bring some headphones.
Exactly. All right. So, ride of the week, you're talking about the
Midway Carousel. Yeah, right when you walk into the park, it was built in 1912 at a different location, and actually Cedar Point acquired it in 1946. And it used to be located near where Raptor is today. There's Mill Race and all that, and then Carousel used to be right over there. They actually had to move it when Raptor was being built to its current location, right there at the front gate. So it's the first ride you see when you walk into the park. Right there, it greets you, and it's a classic. I mean, who doesn't like a carousel?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, the kid,
5-year-olds, because they got scared by Donnie and Andrew. Now they won't go on
Oh,
the carousels.
are we talking like the horse,
That's
like
who doesn't like
the
them.
little horses, the horses that go?
Just the regular little
the
merry-go-round.
merry-go-round.
The merry-go-round. Yeah.
merry-go-round.
Man, I swear. All right, you guys. Had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun this week. All right, we'll do it again there very soon. Have another podcast very soon. 13 days. Maybe we'll do the week after opening, or what are you thinking? We'll figure it out. But
yeah, I actually ran into one of our listeners at Kings Island. He says he loves our podcast. He's looking forward to it, and he wants us to do it every week.
What's his
Does
name?
he want to join?
I think we'll probably, are we going to get back to that point every week, or at least every couple for sure? Maybe every week. We'll see what everyone's schedule is.
Hey, Dave, what's his name?
Steve.
You know,
Steve.
Well, Steve, I hope you find a better hobby, because this chaos is.
Oh God,
we're a hot mess. Let's just face it. So,
all right.
Well,
all
maybe
right,
that's why they like it
It's
so
the best.
much. I mean,
now Molly's like, join me back up. All right, Molly,
let's
right
go,
there.
girl.
We're done. We're done. So we're gonna get your ass back in here on the next one. All right, you guys, have a great weekend. Have a great Sunday. We'll talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.